Okay, let's get into the second conversation for today. This past week, the president of Senegal was in Mali and Burkina Faso, and I thought it was very interesting because he was sent there by ECOWAS. I know, right? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it because I'm like, wait, is this ECOWAS? Literally, ECOWAS is ECOWAS is almost begging. I couldn't believe it because I remember not so long ago, ECOWAS was blowing hot. They were blowing hot. Now they are trying to soften the ground, to warm up the guys in Burkina Faso and the guys in Mali and maybe even the guys in Niger. They want to warm up this place. And that's what I found very interesting because I remember very clearly this ECOWAS issue really upsets me. Let's talk. Because I remember very clearly back in 2023, I believe it was in July 2023, when that coup happened in Niger. And we, what the reaction of ECOWAS was shameful. I'm telling you, it was very shameful. Because first of all, because the country, this is the idea, because the country, the Nigerians, got a president you don't like, so you sanction them. I don't understand. How does that make any sense? Because they got a president you don't like. I remember that government is actually the idea of democracy is government for the people. Now, even if this one wasn't this the military guys weren't elected, when we saw the reaction of the people, it was clear the people wanted them. It was clear that the one who was democracy was not doing the interest of the people. Because if not, the people would not have. They were literally dancing in the streets. They were dancing in the streets. And what was ECOWAS' reaction? Sanctions. Let's not forget that Nigeria is one of the poorest nations in the world. This is why what happened last year upsets me real time. Let's not forget that Nigeria is one of the poorest nations in the world. Let's not forget that many people in Nigeria cannot boast of eating regularly, maybe even twice a day. They can't boast of it. Let's not forget that that country is wallowing in whether it's in health, whether it's in tech, whether it's in health, feeding, whatever. Nigeria is literally bottom of the bottom. And ECOWAS thought it made sense to sanction them. Why? Because they got a president or a government you did not like. And not be, I won't even say because ECOWAS did not like it. I would say because some external players did not like it. It was the same thing that happened with Burkina Faso. It was the same thing that happened with Mali. This rascality. It doesn't make any sense. When ECOWAS sanctioned Niger, medicine was not getting in. Nigeria cut off power supply to Niger. These are people who don't even have power regularly. Nigeria cut off power supply to Niger. Even food, because sometimes Nigeria food crosses border from Nigeria into Niger. Food wasn't getting in, and you're punishing the people. So you see why I started this segment by laughing because with the way ECOWAS was blowing hot last year, I didn't think they had a bone of I didn't think they had a bone of humility in their blood. I didn't think it. Now they are sending because right now the president of Senegal he has a reputation. Now he's like the populist guy. He's the guy that everyone voted for. He's the anti-establishment guy. So he's the perfect figure to send to soften the ground. Oh, I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed with ECOWAS. And even still on this topic of Niger, because that was is the most recent one. Still on this topic of Niger, even that to the extent that Nigeria began to threaten to invade Niger. I said, when I saw that, in fact, it got to a point where those within the government, several people within the military of Nigeria, they had to leak information to show that Nigeria had actually deployed troops. Nigeria had deployed troops. to fight Niger, to open fire in Niger, to literally set Niger on fire. Why? Because they called the government you did not like. Meanwhile, meanwhile, the people who were pushing, the people within ECOWAS who were pushing this thing, many of them, they are fighting legitimacy issues in their respective countries. We saw what the president who just what's his name? The president who just left Senegal before this new guy came in. I've forgotten his name. But you saw what he did, where he literally tried to hijack the government. That is the guy that wanted to invade Niger because Niger was not democracy. What he did, what he was attempting to do to stall elections, was that an act? Was it a democratic act? That's the hypocrisy. That's the hypocrisy. Was that a democratic act? The Nigeria, what did, I'm lost for words because I'm remembering how the whole thing played out last year and how I was feeling. What this made me feel last year, it didn't make any sense to me because Nigeria and Niger, forget these European borders across Africa. Many of the people are the same people. So why are you going to literally almost a civil war? Because of what? Because some external players did not like the government that came in. So it was when I saw all these things unfold in 2023, I just realized that ECOWAS does not push the interest of West Africa. It does not. Because how are you going to know an institution that champions the interest of a country or a region? It's by the policies and the things they do. ECOWAS, they say, what the funniest part of this, because even on ECOWAS website, right? If you go to ECOWAS website and you read their ECOWAS treaty, you find out that one of the things that ECOWAS says it stands for is to ensure peace and stability in the region, that is West Africa. But you that you say your purpose, one of the purpose for your existence is to champion peace and stability in West Africa, you were willing to go and invade Niger because they got a leadership you do not want, or you got a leadership that the people who are pulling your strings, your puppet strings, do not want. See, a lot of things we need to change in Africa. I'm telling you. No, no, I'm telling you. A lot of things will begin to change in Africa because when I speak with Africans, particularly young Africans across the continent, I found out that the people are dissatisfied. Our institutions have been a joke. Our institutions have been a joke. Institutions like ECOWAS, they've been a joke. Okay, look at the African Union. Look at the African Union. How many African leaders? This is. I think I need to check this. Something I need to check. I need to check this. When NATO, US led NATO, entered Libya and murdered Gaddafi, who took, who, which of our African, whether it's from North Africa or East Africa or West Africa or even the African Union, which of them took this situation to the UN to demand that the actions of NATO and United States be condemned? I think I need to find this out because I'm not sure. Which of them did that? Because this is how you know an institution that champions the interests of a country or of a region. This is how you know. It's by what they do. Anyway, I'm not surprised. After all, the African Union is not funded. It's funded by external players. So they're going to do the bidding of external players. What I'm saying is, why I brought this up is because Africa is changing. People don't realize it now. But I'm telling you, the level of dissatisfaction with African youths around the world is alarming. The level of dissatisfaction is alarming. And so this is what makes me know that institutions like ECOWAS, the African Union, they need to adjust. They need to adjust to begin to push the interests of the people they were set up to serve. Because the world is changing. Africa itself is changing and it's changing really quickly. We need new institutions that they are institutions that are aware that their job, their existence is enshrined in the interest of Africa and the regions they are set up to serve. Because if you see, one of the things that I've realized is that Colonialism did not end in the 1950s and the 1960s. Don't let them tell you anything. You know, when we were growing up, they told us Nigeria gained independence in 1960. We did not gain any independence. Colonialism continued as new colonialism. Oh, I just remembered something now. It continued as new colonialism because, you know, so this is why it sometimes it seems like the system that existed during colonial days is still in place. Nothing really has changed, particularly in Africa. Africa still remains like it's just where people just go to get mineral resources. It hasn't changed, even if we got independence or we gained independence. So when you see countries like Niger and Mali and Burkina Faso push back like this, they are fighting for their independence. Let them. Let them. So the idea that ECOWAS will go to now fight, almost having a military intervention in Niger because these people are fighting for their independence, is absurd. The very thought of it is shameful. The full meaning is it not economic community of West African states? The idea of ECOWAS is it not economic integration? Is it not at least to boost the economy? Is that not the idea of ECOWAS? Where was ECOWAS when France was taking Niger's uranium for pennies on the dollar? Where was ECOWAS? Where was ECOWAS? Where did they fight with the French? Where was ECOWAS? When Niger was carried the banner as one of the poorest nations in the world, where was ECOWAS? What did it do to elevate the poverty in Niger? Ask them. They should come and tell us. They should tell us. They've been existing for how many years? How many decades? They should tell us. What have you done to improve the livelihood of the people in Niger? You want to tell me that ECOWAS did not know that France was robbing Niger blind? You want to tell me that did not know that France was robbing Mali of their gold blind? Is that what ECOWAS wants to tell me? They need to at this point see if these institutions they need to change. I'm telling you. Because the Africa we are building and the Africa we are getting into, there will be no place for behaviors like this. I'm telling you, there will be no place for behaviors like this. There will be no place for institutions that does not serve the interests of the continent. There will be no place. At least let me tell you something. Until we can take full control of institutions like ECOWAS and the African Union, we cannot trust them to do things that will foster the interests of Africa. We can't trust them to do that. I have a message for the amazing, amazing president of Senegal. Mr. President, when you were contesting for elections, you made a lot of promises to the people of Senegal, and that was why they voted you in. And I really think that you meant those things that you said during your campaign. Mr. President, please focus on fulfilling the promises you made to the people of Senegal. And don't bother yourself with ECOWAS. ECOWAS was there. Niger was robbed blind of its resources for pennies on the dollar. ECOWAS was there. Mali and Burkina Faso were robbed blind from their resources for pennies on the dollar. Please focus on Senegal and remove your mind from ECOWAS. The Africa we are building, there will be no place for actors like this. Actors and institutions that do not further the interest of Africa. So if ECOWAS fails to adjust, it would die a much needed death.